Oh, hey everybody. Just reading my graphic novel of Mass Effect. It was pretty good, actually. Bunch of side stories, nothing to do with Shepard. It's just I cannot believe that Amazon canceled the idea of making a Mass Effect series based on the game. Oh, and excuse my voice. I got a bit of a hay fever, so it's kind of affecting my voice a bit, so I'm trying not to talk too much. But anyway, welcome to the day's multi-voice reviewer. I am the multi-voice reviewer. Well, I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, I had to say, it's really sad to hear that Rooster Teeth decided to cancel their channel and stop making their own videos. I mean, from all the arguments and the disagreements and such, I guess it's time for them to retire. Such a shame, though. I mean... But, one thing I've heard, I always thought that the red versus blue death battle was their last hurrah. But they decided to make a final series, and it's going to be the final one where they're saying farewell. And the one I'm going to be talking about is Red vs. Blue Restoration. And thanks to the creator of Unreal Engine, who did the animation. You know, that's one thing. Everybody told me I should try Unreal Engine because they do a lot of CGI 3D animation, and I always wanted to learn that. So anyway, I remember when I heard that they're going to make a new Red vs. Blue was from that one video where it showed Church. He was looking through the screen, starts talking to all the AI, and it looks like it's take place during the the battle on Chorus, when they're battling against the really evil CEO of Cargrove's Industry. And of course, Church made a speech about how stories go, where the bad guys lose, the good guys win, and everybody live happily ever after except the hero. And then when Church dies, his last word was, "Ain't that a bitch?" But of course, it turns out while he was looking through the screens, it always keeps showing videos of that Allison girl kept saying, "Don't say goodbye, I hate goodbyes." And of course, this mysterious figure showed up, letting us know that there's going to be trouble going on in Red vs. Blue. And then they start showing RetroCon, a convention for people who loves retros. And then they introduce Sister, who makes an appearance and start asking questions, even though most of the people who is in the RetroCon are actually 5 or 6 people. That's it. I think it's referencing about the fandom. Like, the fans are going down. I mean, they've been losing more and more fans lately. And then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, out comes this new meta, who starts creating problems. Meanwhile, in Blood Gulch, we have the original team. That Real Engine made a new design on them, and it's none other than the original team themselves, Sarge, Simmons, Griff, and Caboose. Now, of course, Caboose, he had Lopez fixing his old helmet since his helmet is Mark V, while everybody else is wearing Mark VI. Because Caboose says that 5 is better than 6. And of course, one thing is really surprising, Caboose now speaks Spanish. And every time when Lopez says something Spanish to him, he tells Sheila And he speaks Spanish, and Sheila translated in English to Lopez, which Lopez says, you don't have to translate in English to me. I understand what he says. And just like in that first Star Wars movie where Luke Skywalker was fixing R2-D2, and all of a sudden a hologram of Princess Leia showed up, well, that's what happened on Caboose's helmet. When Lopez was trying to fix his helmet, a hologram of Church showed up. And instead of Lopez saying melda, which is shit in Spanish, he said shit. And the subtitle says melda. Now that was funny. That's really funny. Meanwhile, at the hospital, turns out that Washington is in the hospital because he was wounded in Chorus. Now, this whole story takes place after the battle in Chorus, so they want us to forget about the after story involving like the whole red and blue versus blue and reds, and of course the Shizno thing where there's these holographic gods and these living dots. And then the time traveling. And of course, they always want us to make us forget about Red vs. Blue Zero, which I had to say that was the worst Red vs. Blue series ever. But I rest. So, Washington is talking to Doc in the hospital, while at the same time, the new meta has a bunch of AIs arguing against one another, and the color kept changing from aqua green to black until he found Cargrove's ship that is abandoned. Coron Industry, so Hargrove's ship, yeah. While at the same time, Caboose met Sarge, Simmons, and Griff and tell them that he has a message for them. At first, Sarge said no, but Sheila forced him by aiming her cannon right at him because he got a message to show them. So, Church showed up, but it's not really Church. He's a pre-recorded hologram, so pretty much the AI of Church is gone, but the pre-recorded hologram that he left is still around. So he knows exactly what the Sarge, Simmons, and Griff is going to say, except Caboose because of his helmet. He doesn't get exactly what Caboose is going to say, but he knows that Caboose is going to say something stupid, so the only thing he can reply to Caboose is, "Shut up, Caboose." So every time when Caboose says something stupid, Church always say, "Shut up, Caboose," and he's like, "Okay." Oh, while I'm on the subject on Caboose, I gotta say, this guy who does the voice of Caboose, I mean, he's kind of doing a good job, but the problem is that he doesn't sound nothing like the guy who originally did the voice of Caboose. Because I guess the real guy who does the voice of Caboose had a disagreement and an argument and a huge fight going on, so that's why the original guy who does the voice of Caboose left Rooster Teeth and never came back. And of course, Church even told them, I mean, like, if some of you are going to be asking me what happened to Tucker, well, Church told him that the new meta is actually Tucker. And what this new meta is trying to do, or Meta Tucker, as I like to call him, they're planning to kill everyone from the red and blue team and get the fragment of Church, which he doesn't know he's a pre-recorded hologram. But he would still kill everybody so he could be whole. While at the same time, Washington knew that the problem is happening, so he was trying to leave the hospital, but Dr. Gray stopped him. And I really love Dr. Gray because the way she is. I mean, Dr. Gray always smiling and always happy and chuckles every time when she says something crazy or loco. And of course, she always sings when she's torturing somebody. But this time, she's being more doing exactly what the hospital ordered, telling Washington that he needs to go back to his hospital because he's not good enough to leave the hospital. Well, so there goes my jet. But anyway, meanwhile, the remaining members of the Reds and Blues decided to go to Hargrove's ship, and the only person who showed up as a cameo but decided to help the Reds and Blues is none other than 479er. She's that pilot who is on the Freelancers story. So after the Freelancers disbanded and the real director, the real Leonard Church, died. So she went into hiding and operate ships for people who wants transportation. Who'd have thunk it? But anyway, when they got into Hargrove's ship and into his lair, they found the recovery unit. And then all of a sudden they found a piece of armor that is the meta armor, but they kind of wondering, why is it there when the real meta's out there? But it turns out meta was pretending and started attacking all the team members. I mean, he started kicking Simmons, Griff, and Sarge's butt, and also Caboose, until all of a sudden he knows that Caboose has a pre-recorded hologram of Church. So he grabs Caboose while the others ran for their lives. But when they're about ready to leave, Sarge changed his mind. He decided to go and help Caboose. Sort of a redeeming quality for him. So he showed up, helped Caboose, and got Caboose out of there. And when Sarge was about ready to say, "Alright man, it's time to leave," he stand next to the door, and then bam. The Meta Tucker grabbed his sword and stabbed through the door and into Sarge's chest. And that was a scene that made me cry, because besides Caboose, who is my favorite, I also love Sarge because he was my second favorite. Because Sarge has always been a warmongering idiot who always liked to take down whoever's the enemy to him, and he's a little paranoid sometimes. But this was the only redeeming thing he ever did. And of course, I always remember him saying, "Today's a good day to die." Well, that is good day. And he decided to let Simmons be in charge. And also, he was being really honest to Griff. He really liked him. The only reason why he was hard on him because he believed in him. Even though Griff doesn't believe himself. So now they gave him a burial, and his headstone has a device to show that plays one of his one-liners. So, one thing Caboose says, that memory is the key. So he, not only that he got a recovery unit, he also got a memory unit. And found a robotic body of Church. So one thing Caboose did, he gathered Simmons and Griff together next to a fire and started talking about their past. I mean, talking about when Griff and Simmons always talk about ever wonder why we're here, and of course how Tex showed up and kicked their asses, and of course Tucker always making his double entendre with his bow chicka wow wow, and meeting Sister and all the others. Good times. And then all of a sudden, Meta Tucker showed up and started fighting against Griff and Simmons, while at the same time Wash showed up to help. But one thing that Caboose did, he starts talking more about Texas. And then the memory fragment was charged up, and now they brought back Texas. I mean, he would have thought that Caboose bringing back Church would even the odds, but he remembered a certain person that pretty much kicked all their asses, including Tucker, which of course it is Texas, because she's the badass of them all. And it's pretty fitting that they brought back the actress who does the voice of Texas. I mean, they didn't do exactly the same thing like they did with Caboose, find somebody else to replace their line. They just brought back the same actress who did the voice of Texas in the old series. While Watch, on the other hand, Washington jumped off a cliff and broke his leg. But when he got wounded, that's when he starts calling for help. And it contacted another badass, Carolina. She showed up to help. So now Tex and Carolina are battling against the Meta Tucker. Now Simmons, he knows what he has to do in order to end this fight. He needs to throw that recovery unit to Meta Tucker so they can save him. And the only thing, I don't know why he was thinking about Donut in a cheerleader outfit. But that's the only cameo for Donut, because since they didn't have him showing up to help. And that's another thing. I wish they would have brought all the other members. I mean, they would have brought Sister back. They would have brought they would have brought back Kimball and her team that the Reds and Blues helped. And, I mean, they would have brought all of them back to help. Even Santa. That alien AI who becomes friends with Caboose. But anyway, Simmons tossed the recovery unit. I mean, he threw the recovery unit in a good distance, so I guess he must have learned it from Donut. But of course, when he throws the thing, I always remember what Donut says. Every time when Donut throws a grenade, he always says, 9 points, you dirty whores! But anyway, the unit got into his chest and it sucked all the AI in his suit into that unit along with Texas. And then we get a really touchy scene when we see Texas and Church together for the first time after all these years. And this time, Church doesn't remember anything, but Texas does. But the only thing that Church remembers is that his name was Leonard. And Tex says that she is Allison Church. Wow. So now, Tucker is cured. He's finally out of the suit and have all the AI fragment gone. So Carolina and Washington told Caboose what he needs to do with that unit. But Caboose, he thought it was the best way to do it. destroy it. So he stomped on the unit and destroyed it for good, so it would not fall into their hands. So now I guess Church in Texas are now together in this big AI in the sky. And of course, here's the shocker of all. Carolina talked to Wash, asking him how he's doing, and he said he's fine. And then told him that Doc is dead. Somehow, during chorus, Doc saved Washington and got killed during the Battle of Chorus. So now, Washington has a survivor's guilt going on. And his way of coping is thinking that he's there with him, talking to him. But now it's time for him to let go of Doc, along with all those other former freelancers. Because one thing Washington learned, that he is a lot better than the other freelancers. Just try to remember to the good things they've done, and always remember their mistakes, so he won't make them either. His way of letting go his guilt. And Simmons, since now he's in charge, decided to give Griff shore leave. And they have a transportation waiting for Griff. And it turns out it's one from Red vs. Blue Zero. I can't believe that they brought back a character from Red vs. Blue Zero to make an appearance in this one. Even though I still don't like Red vs. Blue Zero, I'm just surprised that they brought one of the characters from it. But that is it. Caboose and Simmons are now, well, also Tucker, are now in Blood Gulch. Griff takes left shore leaves and going back to Earth. So, it was the end of Red vs. Blue, and a fond farewell to Rooster Teeth. And then at the end of the credits, Tucker did a Fearless Bueller Day Off reference at the end of the credits, saying, "You're here. The show's over. Go on home. Bow chicka bye bye." Now, this was definitely the last hurrah for Red vs. Blue. And any of you who like this review, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more. And I'm the multi-voice reviewer. I believe it so I can jog your memory. And Master Chief, what are you doing here?
Hi there, Master Chief here. And I have to say, Rooster Teeth have gone through a long, bumpy ride after everything they've been through. And they entertain us very well. Anyway, one thing I gotta say about Rooster Teeth is this. I salute them, along with Red and Blue. Even though Red vs. Blue is over, but Halo still goes on with their games. This is Master Chief, signing off.